Hello and welcome to the Lynn Lowdown. I'm your host, Mikhail Kabonga, and we have three special guests today that are here to talk about food security, and the GoFundMe that they got going on. They got High Road Farm. They got a lot going on, and we're just happy to have them. Nathan is back with us. I think this is like your third time. Yeah, so something like that. We got Yamila and we got McDonough. Scanlon is did I say that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. No mispronunciation. How is everybody doing?
It's actually but
Shamila.
Thank you for asking.
I got one. Thank you for correcting me. Last time someone didn't correct me, and I was. We spent the whole show of me pronouncing their name wrong. So let's talk about what you guys got going on with the food security family for families in need. You guys have the GoFundMe up right now. But first, can you give us a little background on it?
Sure. Jamila, you want to take this one? Start it off.
Sure. Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Shamila Ruiz. I'm a Lynn resident. Together with my partner, Nick Coppola, at the beginning of the COVID pandemic, we launched something called North Shore Families Together, or Familias Unidas del Norte de Boston. It's very much a grassroots, community-focused mutual aid system of neighbors helping neighbors. So back in March, we heard from a few families that were dealing with food insecurity due to loss of employment due to the COVID pandemic. And as you can imagine, there was a lot of fear in our community here in Lynn, as well as in our surrounding communities all over the country and world, really. But here in Lynn, a city made up of essential workers and service industry workers and people working on the front lines, as grocery store workers and home healthcare attendants and restaurant workers, we kept hearing from families that were facing food insecurity. So we launched out of our garage a food pantry where we started sourcing some food, some donations from neighbors. We started just pulling things from our own pantry. And then my mom brought some stuff over from her pantry. And then our neighbors brought some stuff over. Our neighbors run a daycare. And so they brought some stuff over that they had for the kids. And then we realized diapers were in need and formula and wipes. And we started collecting some of those things as well. And so over the last 12 months, we've continued to collect food, distribute it on a weekly basis. We also help with Lynn Public School free lunch pickups because a lot of the families we work with are mobility limited. They don't have access to vehicles, and they were relying heavily on transportation, which was really reduced or inaccessible as a result of the pandemic. And even prior, really, a lot of the families live off the bus route. So we'd be driving through Lynn and see families carrying, bags of the free Lynn public school lunches, like 2-3 miles in rain or in the cold or in the heat. And in addition to that, we were also providing hot meals for families who were COVID positive, actually empowering one of the moms that we work with to do pay it forward meals. So the community would donate a meal and then we'd be able to place a meal in the household of families who were sick or had a relative in the hospital. So those are the three things that we run: the food delivery, groceries weekly of shelf stable groceries. That's a key point that we're going to get into, as well as lunches and the meals for COVID positive patients or families who are on particularly rough times. Mm-hmm. And we came to this point where the entire time we were thinking, this is so great that we're doing this. We're providing rice and beans and corn flour and all these things, but it's really been a barrier to provide fresh produce and fresh, healthy foods. Just because of limitations we have. We're doing this out of our garage, kind of very grassroots, mutual aid based. And we don't have like a walk-in freezer like Salvation Army or My Brother's Table might, or a fridge. So we're trying to think of creative ways to be able to add fresh produce, fresh fruits and vegetables to our weekly delivery routes. But we knew that we didn't first and foremost want to rely on like a wholesale, in the beginning we were going to Restaurant Depot to buy a few things. We didn't want to rely on wholesale or places where you typically find groceries that are really accessible, but maybe aren't organic or locally grown. So I'm going to leave that all to Mac to talk about momentarily. But that's kind of what brought us to start to have these conversations with Nathan and Mac about what we could accomplish together. And I'll leave it to them. Sorry I took up too much time, but I'll leave it to them to introduce themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I heard about Shamilia's project and working with Mac and being a part of our CSA here in Newbury. I saw a connection that I wanted to bring together to be able to help provide fresh vegetables to the residents of Lynn. And being a CSA client myself, I realized the importance of the fresh food and the quality of it that Mac had from her farm here in Newbury. Mm-hmm. And so I had to really connect them. And I think that Mac can tell you about what she does, and I would urge you
Mac,
to...
yeah, man, let's talk about the High Road Farms. Let's talk about that.
You nailed my name too, by the way. McDonough is my first name, but I go by Mac. So,
and Mac also, sorry, Nathan just mentioned CSAs, and I think it might be worthwhile to explain what that is for everybody watching.
Awesome. So my name is Max Scanlon. I own High Road Farm in Newbury, Mass. And yeah, we have a CSA program, which stands for Community Supported Agriculture. And it really opens it up for my local community to be like a shareholder in my farm as a business, but it also kind of provides them weekly produce, almost like a vegetable subscription for 20 weeks out of the year. So that's been a really fun way for me to not only engage my own local community, but it's also turned into a way for food insecure families to get food like weekly. And this is my second partnership with a nonprofit or food distribution specifically for food insecure families. But up here in my area of Newbury, I work with a great nonprofit called Nourishing the North Shore. And they're the ones who kind of piloted a CSA program. So weekly food distribution right to families in more of a food insecure situation. So when Nathan came to me and saw a need in Lynn and wanted to work specifically in Lynn, it was kind of cool that because of the work for a nonprofit in my area, I knew kind of how to structure it on my end. And then meeting with Shamia and Nick is just a daydream because they can do all the distribution out